Welcome to Mississippi Success, your one stop for conversations with individuals from and in Mississippi that are making a difference. If you're looking for examples of Mississippi's best, then this is the show for you. Now here is your host, Cyrus Webb.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Mississippi Success. I am so excited about the launch of this show right here on WYAD 94.1 FM in Yazoo City, Mississippi, and WYADonline.com. You all can also find the podcast link through the Facebook fan page for WYAD. So I definitely encourage you, if you miss any part of this or want to share it with your friends, to definitely share the link from there. We have an amazing first show for you here from Mississippi Success. You guys will be hearing from supermodel Tess Holliday. She's an amazing woman who's been able to not only inspire women around the world, but also through her new book, The Not So Subtle Act of Being a Fat Girl, she's been able to empower people about loving the skin they're in and making a difference. Also, in this episode of Mississippi Success, you'll be hearing part of my interview with 8-year-old author Briyana Jackson. We'll talk to her not only about her first book, but also what it's been like for her to make a difference as well. In our musical mix today from Mississippi Success, you'll be hearing from one of my good friends, Ezra Brown, and I know you all are going to enjoy that. Without any further ado, here it is, the very first episode of Mississippi Success on WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com. Sponsored by Conversations Live.
Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, whether you're tuning in on the radio dial in Mississippi or through one of our online affiliates around the world. We're glad to have all of you with us today. We're excited to welcome supermodel, entrepreneur, and now author Tess Holliday to our program today to talk to us not only about her amazing career, but also what it's been like for her to be a source of inspiration for so many. I know we here in Mississippi are very proud of Tess, claiming her as one of our own, but also she has fans literally around the world. We're going to talk to her about that and her new book called The Not So Subtle Art of Being a Fat Girl. She has a book signing coming up in Mississippi. We're excited about that. And Tess, really excited to be able to speak with you. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thanks for having me. It's always nice to talk to local folks.
Well, look, I appreciate that. Well, Tess, when I pre-ordered the book on Amazon and read the excerpt, I knew you were someone I had to talk to. For one, because I saw you were coming here, so I definitely wanted to be able to chat with you before we met. But, I mean, what has it been like for you, Tess, to be able to have lived the life that you've lived and experienced what you have, and now to be able to share it with the world the way that you are?
You know, for a long time, growing up down south, I've lived all over, but I spent most of my life, in Laurel, Mississippi, and I resented it for a long time because I felt like, people didn't understand me and they didn't really get what I was doing. So when I moved away, I never told anyone I was from Mississippi because I think I was angry for all of the wrong reasons. And then as I started to go back and I started to see my family and my friends and all of that, I realized that just because you have a bad experience doesn't mean that where you're from is bad or the people. It's just, you can go anywhere in the world and feel bad. So now I'm quite proud to be from such a small town because traveling all over, I see that I could have had it way worse, which is surprising because I've had a pretty crazy life. But I'm really grateful for my experiences to be able to be here now and look back for it. So
right, and I'm sorry, Tess. You actually say in the beginning of the book that your life is, it seems like a soap opera. And what I thought was so interesting, Tess, and it's funny hearing you say what you just said because I think so many people, no matter where they live in this country, sometimes feel as though they hate the fact that they are where they are. Has that been one of the connective tissues that you've kind of seen with your fans, that they kind of relate to that aspect of feeling misunderstood, but also realizing that there were other things for them?
100%. My fans are from all walks of life. They're from all over the world. Some of them don't even, understand what I'm saying because of language barriers and things like that. But they do understand that we all get in some way or another that it's hard to grow up in certain areas. It's hard to be different. It's hard for people and to feel alone. So I know a lot of people identify with me because they feel less alone and they understand that, life can be hard, but if you have a lot of people around you that support and love you, it can also be really great.
Yeah. Tess, do you still have those wow moments when you kind of look at the places you've been and the things you've been able to do? I mean, on the cover of People magazine and, and people, as you said, around the world knowing who you are. Do you still have those pinch me moments?
I have a pinch me moment every single day. I tell my husband that I still feel like I'm that girl living in a trailer in my grandparents' pasture in Mississippi. It's weird to have paparazzi following me and to have, people that are fans. Like, that's a very strange thing. It's something that I will never get used to, but I also feel a lot of pressure to not disappoint them. And I also feel incredibly grateful to have a platform to be able to talk about the things I went through and hopefully help someone else not have to go through those things.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the platform, Tess, because one of the things you've done with that platform is to really show that we are all beautiful. We all have something special about us. What has that fact been like for you to be able to embrace for yourself? Because you even say in the book quite early on, hey, this isn't something I've always felt. It isn't something I've always believed. But what has it been like for you now to embrace that you are beautiful and that you have something special and other people do as well?
I think it's important for me to tell people that, just because I wrote a book about confidence, literally, and my whole brand is based on loving yourself, doesn't mean that I always love myself, and it doesn't mean that I don't have bad days. I have good days and bad days, and sometimes I feel good, and sometimes I don't. And I try to be as honest with people as possible because, I know what it's like to not feel great all the time. But I'm really glad to be on the other side, and I'm glad to understand that it's okay to have those days. And it doesn't make me a bad person or anything like that. It makes me human. Yeah.
And that is one of the things you've also done outside of even modeling and, of course, this book, Tess, with, your own clothing line. One of the things that you said was that, you wanted to make sure that people were not forgotten. I think that was an interesting thing because there's so many people out there who feel invisible, who feel as though people don't see them. Is that kind of why you wanted to use your platform to make sure that you let other people know that you do see them?
100%. Growing up down south, I understand that I'm overweight and I get made fun of for that, but I also understand woman, I was born into privilege. My life was quite hard, but a lot of my friends are from a lot of marginalized groups, and life has been hard for them because of the way they were born. And I have tried to use my platform as best I can to speak out against all kinds of things that I feel like, sometimes voices get lost. And if I can just help, a few people, then I feel like, my job is done and it's worth it,
Right, for sure, and I know people appreciate that. For those who are just tuning in either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Tess Holliday to our program today. We're excited to welcome one of Mississippi's own, who's an international supermodel. She's also an entrepreneur and the author of a book that you all definitely want to add to your reading list, because it's not just about Tess's story, but it's about the story, I think, of all of us when it comes to pursuing our goals and dreams. It's called The Not-So-Subtle Art of Being a Fat Girl. And when it comes to this book signing, being in front of the camera, Tess, is not anything new to you, but what does it feel like for you now? I saw on Instagram you, of course, holding your book in your hand. How does that feel to have it now available for the world to read?
It's kind of terrifying, but it's also super surreal, and the writing process was much harder than I anticipated. So to actually be holding the book, all I can think is, oh my gosh, I'm so glad it's done. I'm glad I don't have to, I'm glad I don't have to do it anymore, because it was really difficult, but for it to be done and for people to be reading it, and it's already been out in Europe and Australia, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from people, and it's, a lot of people have messaged me saying how much it's helped them and how much they identify with a lot of the things I've gone through, and so that, for me, has been the best part of it. So I can't wait for it to, be out in the States and have people hopefully feel the same way.
Yeah. So, Tess, as you kind of look at this life that you've been able to live, and you've look at all the things you've been able to do you still find yourself asking the question, what's next?
I do. I never expected that I would have the life that I do, that I'd be talking to you, living in Los Angeles and having a supportive partner and a family and being able to, support myself being a model. I mean, sometimes I say it and it feels so ridiculous, but, here I am, and I've accomplished everything I've set out to do. So now I find myself just coming up with new ridiculous dreams, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see where life has taken me and for what's next.
And I think that has to be the amazing thing. Do you find yourself, I asked you about, holding the book. I mean, fear, is one of those things that stops so many people, Tess, and thankfully because of stories like yours, people will understand how they can be able to overcome their fears. But, what do you say to people about the importance of not letting fear stop them when it comes to pursuing their goals and dreams?
I think it's really important to have people around you that support you because, for me, I was scared and I wasn't sure what to do, but I always had my mom to support me. She didn't support me financially because she wasn't able to, but just having someone tell you that you want to do is important. And even if I know a lot of times my mom did not always agree with what I wanted to do, but she always supported me. And I think that's what's most important is that, even if your kids or your friends or whatever, you might not always love what they're doing, but if they're not hurting themselves and they're not hurting someone else and they're just really chasing their dreams, then I think the best thing we can do is just to support and love them, because if it wasn't for all of those people in my life, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Right. Again, everyone, Tess Holliday has been our guest. Great conversation with you, Tess. Make sure you guys get your copy of the book, The Not So Subtle Art of Being a Fat Girl. Her website is www.tessholiday.com, and there you can find all of her social media links and how to stay connected with her there. Tess, continued blessings to you and wishing you nothing but the best and looking forward to our next conversation together.
Can't wait to meet you and take a selfie.
All right. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live.
Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. And now, celebrating 15 years of broadcasting, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. With you tuning in on the radio dial, we welcome you all back to our program. Also, those joining us through our iHeartRadio family, we're glad to have all of you with us as well. I'm really excited to welcome author Briyana Jackson to our program today. Now, Briyana is an individual who, at the age of 11, has written her first book. It's called A Look at My Life. I'm going to talk to Briyana not only about the writing of the book, but also what it's been like for her at such a young age to be able to share her story with the world. She's already had speaking engagements. She's had book signings, already done radio interviews. This is her second here, so we'll talk to her about that experience, but also what she wants you to take away from the book as well. Briyana, hello to you, and welcome to the program.
Hi.
Hey. Well, Briyana, you're a pro at this point. As I mentioned, this is your second radio interview. Fortunately, it's your second one with me as well, so I've had the opportunity to be able to speak to you now twice on the radio. Briyana, you have achieved so much at the age of 11. You are, as someone, as I mentioned, you have a book that's out, it's available on Amazon. You've been featured in the newspaper. You've been able to do speaking engagements. What has it been like for you to see how people are responding to your book?
It's been amazing because I get to show them my book and how I like to write it.
Exactly. And so let's talk about the writing of the book. What made you decide at this point that you wanted to write a book kind of sharing your life?
Well, first it was for fun, and then more ideas started coming, so I just kept going, and it just came to this.
Right. It just came into this, for sure. Now, one of the things that you say in the book, Briyana, is that people may look at your family and you, look at your mom and dad, look at your brother and your sisters, and say, wow, they look just like us. But, how important was it for you to show some of the things that people didn't see?
It was really important because London, she has a heart problem. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because she has to have surgery for a lifetime. And I really don't know any other babies that has this. I know some, but not really. So it was really important for me to put this in the story.
Right. And it's so good that you did, because now, Briyana, people who do have that, I mean, they're able to see that they're not by themselves. Were you also wanting people to know that even though you're having difficult times, even though your sister was having difficult times, how important was it for you to tell them about the importance of not giving up?
It was really important because all you have to do is just trust in God and believe in Him, and He got you.
Right. Exactly. And that is something I think that is so important, Briyana. I mean, is that one thing that's helped you to realize that you had God's help?
Yes.
Yeah. And for you, too, now that you're able to share your book, I mentioned you're going out and doing speaking engagements. I mean, when people call you an author, how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good and proud of myself.
Yeah. And you should be. You should definitely be proud of yourself, Briyana. I mean, there's not a lot of 11-year-olds, who are doing what you've done. There's not a lot of adults that are doing what you have done. I mean, for you though, I mean, one of the first things that you did, Briyana, was do a book signing. I mean, what was that like for you? Because you had a blow up, of yourself there, a picture blown up of you. People were coming there buying your book. I mean, what did that feel like?
It felt amazing.
Felt amazing.
To know that people are coming to buy my book. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you gotten used to doing autographs?
Yes.
Is that one of the fun parts of it too?
Yes.
Yeah. And I know I had a chance, I bought your book online, Briyana, and I had a chance for you to be able to autograph my book, and you wrote in there, thanks for all of the support. And, I think that is such a big thing for you to be able to have that support. Is that what you want other young people to do too, Briyana, that they can do anything they want?
Yes.
And I think that is the thing. I want to read something that you wrote when you talk about your family and also your advice for the reader. It's found on page 15 of the book, Briyana. You say this: we look just like you. We have our good times and our tough times. The important thing is that we don't give up. I hope you see by looking at my life that no matter how old you are, you can be able to have fun and even help others. Life can be tough, but you can make it through whatever problem you are going through. Keep the faith, believe that better things are ahead, and never give up. I want to talk about what you said about it doesn't matter what age you are, that you can help others. I mean, one of the things that you talk about in the book when it comes to your sister is about the walk that you all did. I mean, what was that like for you? I know you said in the book that it was hot, but it was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, what was that experience like?
We had a lot of fun setting it up, and a lot of people came to donate and help us with London and stuff like that. It was fun, but it was hot.
Yeah, right. And so do you want young people also to know that they're never too young to make a difference, Briyana?
Yes, I do.
And I think that is the great thing. And I think, too, it's a great reminder for all of us that we can all do our part in different ways, but that we can all make a difference for sure. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, you're listening to Conversations Live. I'm excited to welcome author Briyana Jackson to our program today. She's the author of a book called A Look at My Life. It's available now through our friends at Amazon.com. I know one of the people who joined us at the studio in Jackson, Mississippi, Briyana, was your grandmother. I know she's also listening to us today as we are having this interview. What has that support been like for you to have your grandmother not only know what it's like to be an author, but also to support you too?
She's amazing.
She is amazing, isn't she? She really is amazing. And, I think, for our audience out there, hopefully every one of them has someone in their life that is amazing, Briyana, and that is, a great thing. Do you hope that you can be something amazing for other people, that you can be that example for other people?
Yes.
Right. and I believe you are doing just that, Briyana. And I think, you're having a conversation like this at your age and doing things like you're doing definitely shows that for sure. Again, everyone, you've been listening to Conversations Live. The book is called A Look at My Life by author Briyana Jackson. Briyana is spelled Briyana. So make sure you all get your copy online. You can get it through our friends at Amazon.com. And make sure you also let other people know about it as well. This time of year, a lot of people are home doing a lot of reading, regardless of what age they might be. And Briyana, thank you so much for the time. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live.
We're so glad you all could join us for this episode of Mississippi Success. Make sure you all tune in next Wednesday, same time, at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, for another edition of Mississippi Success. Until next time, have a great one.